And we're back, Mike Cernovich, with a somber message. I do stand with CNN. These are not words that I thought that I would ever be speaking, but I stand with people who are the victims of domestic terror, and that appears to be what is going on here. Now, two things are going on. We have two sets of conspiracy theories. One is the MAGA bomber. That's a conspiracy theory because there's no evidence for it. Just like when there was that shooting at the the Charlotte Gazette, and people tried to blame it on Milo because Milo had tweeted something, mean about journalists or something, and they found out it was just a disgruntled stalker, and they blamed it on Milo, right? Well, it wasn't. Two is, I deal with lunatics on the internet threatening me. I 100% can believe some lunatic sent that package to CNN. So shame on people calling it a false flag. Or not shame on you, but just pay attention to what happens to me. There are literally people who make fake child abuse videos of my wonderful daughter and my wife, and they call the police to try to get my family murdered and swatted. This is what you've seen me deal with. I've shown you the things from verified profiles. So if verified Twitter accounts will make fake child abuse videos and tell their followers to call the police on my wife based on a fake video, then it shouldn't be too hard to think that perhaps there are a lot of crazy people out there, and perhaps these crazy people would send a bomb to someone else, right? They're lunatics. Now, here's the problem, though. Don Lemon has supported Antifa. That has to stop. I've been warning people, not even because I'm a good guy. Remember, some of you have been here around here for a while. I see some familiar names. Mike is a sellout. You're blocked. I have anti-Semitic abuse about me. Stuff it, K-I-K, you know what. But, yeah, they're false flagging. Now, here's the issue. Right, here is the issue. CNN, they endorsed political violence. I told people where this went. I told people where this was leading. I told them that I don't condemn political violence because I'm some kind of super great, whatever, guy. I condemn it because it never stops with the other side. It's just like censorship, right? It's just like censorship. Oh, LOL, Alex Jones got banned. Reverb was saying that. And then they get banned. They're like, I can't believe Facebook is the arbiter of truth. So all that punch-a-Nazi stuff that everybody was spreading, where do you think that ends? You're normalizing political violence to achieve whatever ends. CNN ran a headline, Antifa, peace through violence, right? So this is absolutely absurd, and the media, they need to condemn it. They need to condemn the Antifa violence. I don't know what's so hard about it. CNN, by the way, one of the people stalking me is a Turner employee. One of the guys making fake videos of my daughter and wife and telling people to call the police on my wife based on a fake edited video is a Turner employee. Literally, CNN is paying someone to harass my family. Oh, but that's activism, right? That's activism. Now, a lot of people, again, I'm a little disappointed in some of you. I'll tell you why. Tell you why I'm a little disappointed. You see what I deal with. Why is it hard to believe that someone would send a package to CNN? I don't get it. I'm trying to understand. You can't just go, oh, false flag, false flag. No. How? You're just as moronic as the people going as a MAGA bomber. You're both insane. Literally, in this world we live in, we have equally insane people. Oh, it was a MAGA bomber. There's no proof it was a MAGA bomber. It's a conspiracy theory. It was a false flag. That's a conspiracy theory. No one knows. It happened 3 or 4 hours ago. The investigation's ongoing. People go, oh, well, that wasn't postmarked. Yeah, you can put stamps on the thing and still have it sent by private courier, right? Just because there weren't markings on the stamps doesn't mean it wasn't sent by private courier. So you're all just absurd. You're all absurd. I can't believe it. I'm embarrassed by the media, and I'm embarrassed by my own followers. That everybody's going, oh, false flag, whatever. There's no proof of that. And based on what I deal with, I would not find it hard to believe that it was legitimate. Now, the issue that is not happening in the media, the issue that's not happening with the media is this is what they constantly do. It's called a failure to contextualize, right? It's called a failure to contextualize. And here's what I mean by the failure to contextualize. They'll say, oh, CNN got these, packages. It's bad. Yeah, it's bad. Period. Bad. Terrible. Full stop. It's also true that somebody sent a package months ago to Alex Jones. Did you guys know that? Well, funny how that didn't get reported more widely. Remember when the Austin bomber was sending packages? They sent one to Alex Jones's office. People were dying, right? Who remembers the Austin bomber? This is the problem with our media is they fail to contextualize. Who remembers the Austin bomber? All of you here do. All right, I'm blocking people. I'm ingratiating myself to liberals. I'm not. I just don't want morons who yell false flags because you are a liability. The type of person who with no evidence is calling it a false flag is going to do something really dumb, and I don't want to be in that blast radius. So go be really dumb somewhere else, right? That was the lesson I learned of 2016 is that not everyone or even most people are like me. They can't have nuanced conversations about controversial issues. Their little brains get scrambled and then they go do something dumb and it'll get pinned on me and on my conscience, and I'm not going to have that on my conscience, right? I'm not going to have that karma that I indulged foolishness. I'm not going to have the karma that I fed generic garbage to bad people. That's my karma. That isn't about ingratiating myself to liberals. That is about the message of the universe and saying, I don't want people like that around me, right? That's why I've been such a DIC, you-know-what to people, because I'm tired of the morons, the complaining, the whining, the negativity, the toxic people. I just don't want that karmic energy around me because that brings my own level of consciousness down. Why do you think I look so much healthier now? Just been blocking like 50 people a day. People email me, oh, I'm a supporter, you blocked me because you said a mean thing to me. Or you said a mean thing about something else, right? I just don't want to do it. So there's no evidence of a false flag, and there's no evidence that MAGA was responsible. Fact. So what do we do know? Well, we do know a number of things. We do know there are lunatics on the internet. We do know this for a fact. I know because I deal with them every day. So here's what we know to be true about the world. And what you're doing is Scott Adams would call it a reality filter. Charlie Munger would call it a mental model of the world. So what you should do is sit back and relax and be educated and learn how to think critically and with nuance about the world. So you start off with what do we know to be true about the world before you analyze any given situation. You just go false flag because that's dumb. The Austin bomber wasn't a false flag. The Austin bomber was real. Somebody sent a package to Alex Jones. This is a fact, okay? So here's what we know about the world. We know that there are people who are just agents of chaos and carnage who want to send bombs to people. There was the Unabomber. There was the Austin bomber. There's been a lot of these bombing packages. So we just know it's true. What do we know that's true about the world? We do know there are insane people or evil people who want to send bombs to people. This is just a fact. We also know that political violence by the media has become normalized. Oh, Antifa shows up. They try to kill someone. Well, maybe the guy was a Nazi, even though it was a woman and the woman's ribs got broken. Did you see, like at the Milo event, a woman had a ruptured spleen because Antifa smashed her with the pole. Okay, well, Don Lemon says, well, lighten up, people. Nobody's perfect. Who knows? So we know there are violent people who want to capitalize on carnage and terror. We know that political violence has become normalized, right, by the media. Where are the condemnations of Antifa? Where are the condemnations of violence against that? And we do know that there have been all kinds of attacks against people right, left, center, and just random. So the Austin bombing was random. And we also know that journalists tend to fail to contextualize when this stuff happens, right? So remember there was that shooting at the Gazette, very sad event. And then they tried to say that Milo was somehow responsible because Milo would send a text message to a reporter. And then it happened the next day and the media blamed Milo. And then I found the guy's social media profile and it turned out the guy was a stalker of the paper and had stalked the paper since 2011. So the story of the Charlottesville Gazette shooting, the Capitol Gazette shooting, sorry, was that it was a stalker who just happened to shoot up people that he didn't like, which is, again, sad. It does not take away from the tragedy, but that's why you don't hear about that much. Now, what else do we know true about the world? Who remembers the Jewish Community Center bomb threats? Who remembers those? Who remembers when Donald Trump was confronted by the media and they said, why won't you condemn anti-Semitism? Why won't you condemn these attacks and everything else? And he said, well, maybe it was done by the left. And people go, it's a conspiracy theory. Who remembers that? The JCC bombings. Who remembers those? Right? Who remembers those? Well, I do. I do. And it was a former Intercept writer was arrested for those bomb threats. So we do know that left-wing people, are unhinged. And we do know that left-wing people will frame people. This is just a fact, right? This is just a fact. It's 100% fact. 100% fact. Nobody, that's the whole point. So this is why when people go, what happened? I say, I don't know. I don't know. If you're blaming it on MAGA, you're a conspiracy theorist. If you're saying it's a false flag, you're a conspiracy theorist. There's just no evidence for either position. The answer is that we just don't know. It could be an agent of chaos. It could be somebody who's political. It could be just somebody who wants to cause harm. It could be Russia, right? Wouldn't it be effective for Russia? Isn't that funny how that works, right? How Russia's not getting blamed? Couldn't it possibly be Russia trying to sow discord, right? If Russia wanted to sow discord, right? If Russia wanted to create chaos and divide America, sending a bomb would be the way to do it. Now, I'm not saying Russia's doing it. I'm just saying that there's all kinds of I'm just saying that there's all kinds of so there's all kinds of possibilities, and that's why I'm comfortable with just saying I don't know what happened. I don't know. I know it's wrong. I know it's wrong. It's wrong when Antifa attacks people, and I would sure like to see some moral leadership from the media about this and about far left-wing domestic terrorism, right? We all know. We all know. Excuse me, I'm gonna have a nice coffee. All right, I'm gonna read your comments now. I was a little wound up. I'm gonna read your comment. I don't want to read as a false flag. That's a boring comment. All right, tell me. I'm gonna read Periscope first. If you're on YouTube, hit the like button and hit the subscribe button. If you're on YouTube, hit the like and subscribe button. If you're on Facebook, hit an emoji if you want me to keep going. So if you're on Facebook, like and share this video so that people can get a nuanced take on what is really happening. A nuanced take. All right. So there is zero evidence that the bombs sent to CNN were from MAGA, and suggesting that there is such evidence makes you a conspiracy theorist. Just reality. Likewise, calling it a false flag is an assertion without evidence. That's just the reality. They're saying, oh, it was the MAGA and this and that and that. Somebody goes, Mike, it's obvious it was planned. No, it isn't obvious. It really isn't. This is why today is a is a test of your critical thinking. It's not obvious. That is your own worldview being imposed on the situation, right? It's your own worldview being imposed on the situation. The answer is no one knows. No one knows who's responsible. It's just reality. I live in the world of reality, right? InfoWars, they got, during the Austin bombing, they got a bomb. That was proven. I reported on that story when it happened. So that was a fact. The Austin bomber sent a package to InfoWars. Funnily enough, interestingly enough, the media didn't really want to report on that, right? It's really, really interesting. How that works, right? Really, 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 really interesting how it works. So now people are saying Trump has to cancel the rally. So the people are. Yeah, Cuomo lied about the package he received. That's the thing. Everybody's capitalizing this, right? Everybody is capitalizing on this. And I'm the guy who just wants all of it to stop. The left, the Antifa, endorsing all that political violence, I just want it to all stop. That is the whole point. So people are asking me what I think happened. The answer is I don't know and nobody else knows. I don't know what happened and nobody else does. Right? I don't know what happened. Now there's just a mass shooting. Multiple people shot inside of Kroger grocery store. So this is, again, the zeitgeist is becoming very bad. Who here remembers me when I said it's only going to get worse? Who remembers that when I said that? Who remembers that? Go ahead, raise your hand. Raise your hand if you remember when people said, well, what do you think is going to happen? I said, political violence is going to become a way of life. People go, oh, you're negative, being negative. Collectively, people are becoming unhinged because of the lack of moral leadership. That's also why people are calling me names and saying I'm trying to, how do you want to say that? I'm trying to pander to the left is absolutely absurd. I'm trying to pander to people who can just collectively agree that political violence is bad. That's who I'm pandering to. I'm pandering to people who just want to say, you know what? You shouldn't hit people over the head with bike locks. You shouldn't send bombs to people, right? That's who I'm pandering to. People who can just condemn all of it. People who can just say, it's all wrong. Right? Well, somebody goes, why did the bombs go off? I think it was a very, a person who isn't competent. A person who isn't competent. That's what I think. And it wasn't a pro, and that's why the FBI said it's quite revealing. That's why it's quite revealing that so here, let me show you what the media is doing, which is, awful. So Newsweek. Ron DeSantis' campaign said he wanted Hillary Clinton's Florida visit to be kiss of death, day before bomb threat. Do you see how these conspiracy theorists in the media are working? Right? Do you see how the media conspiracy theories are working? By the way, if you're on YouTube, hit the like button if you want me to keep going. Hit the like button and hit the subscribe button if you're on YouTube. Like and subscribe if you're on Facebook. Hit the emojis, tap the like button, share the video. And if you're on Periscope, tap. So yeah, we can now see the media go full conspiracy theory. Ron DeSantis' campaign said he wanted Hillary Clinton's Florida visit to be kiss of death. So this is what they did to Milo, actually. This is also what they did to Milo. They go, oh, you said this thing, and now we're going to tie it to this other thing that's completely unrelated in order to get people to draw an inference that somehow you are responsible. It's the oldest trick in the book. It's a very nasty thing to do, but it's kind of what we've come to expect. Unfortunately, is what we have come to expect. Yeah, it's really bad. So hold on, you want me to take calls? If you want me to take calls and you're on YouTube, hit the like button. If you want me to hit calls and you're in Periscope, say yes. You want me to take calls. And if you want me to take calls and you're on Facebook, say yes. So do you want me to take calls, yes or no? Answer it, yes or no. Tell me if you want me to take calls. If you do, then I'll take them. If you don't, then I won't. So yes or no, do you want me to take calls? Because we can take them. So people want me to take calls? Okay. Let me read your people want me to take calls. All right. I'm going to take phone calls. If I think you're unhinged, I'm going to just cut you off. Phone number is 866-438-1487. So if you're on Periscope, I just typed out the number for you. Call the number, wait a minute, and we can go from there. So we will be taking calls. Da-da-da. There's no evidence that anybody, people are just, the media really is doing its thing, They're sharing theories without evidence. All right, we got some callers on. All right, let's see here. Hold on. Wisconsin, how you doing?
Hello?
Hello, sir.
Hello?
Yep, we hear you.
I'm in Wisconsin.
Okay, well. Sarasota, Florida, how you doing? All right, people, your zip code, your phone, your city's going to show up based on your area code. Houston, Texas, how you doing?
Hello?
Hello?
Hello? Hey, my name is Pierre.
Welcome. Hello? All right. I don't know what's the problem, guys. Not that hard. When I say hello and I say your city, you talk. Sarasota, Florida, how you doing? Okay. All right, I'm just blocking your number. Yeah, it's not that hard, people. All right. Real quick, guys, I don't know what the problem is. It really is not very hard. When you call me, your phone number will show up in my caller ID, and it will be associated with the city. So when I say, hello, Sarasota, Florida, that would be you. Now, maybe you moved since you originally got your cell phone, or maybe not, but that's how your number is going to show up, and I'm not going to read your number out and dox you, okay? So we'll try this one more time. It really isn't that hard. Houston, Texas, how are you? Okay, no calls. I don't know what's so hard about, I say your city and like hello, and I don't know. It's not really that hard. It's just not complicated. So if you called in, do not call back because you, for whatever reason, can't, follow simple instructions. So your calls will probably not be very good anyway. Because if you can't just follow a basic, like this is your city, this is your cell phone number, then, just don't call back. Olympia, Wisconsin, how you doing?
It's Olympia, Washington?
Yep, that's you. How are you, sir?
Yes, this is Pierre.
Welcome.
Hi, Mike, can you hear me?
We can.
I think you said Olympia, Wisconsin.
Olympia, Washington. Yeah, Olympia. Yes, sir. Hello.
Hello?
Yes, we literally hear you. Do you not hear us? Okay, we hear you.
Oh, you hear me? Okay, good. It keeps going off and on.
Okay, I don't. Yes, we hear you. Hello, you call. What brings you on? What's on your mind, etc. Okay, I'll give someone else a shot. All right, your area code is 703. How are you, sir or ma'am?
Yeah, I'm doing fine. I think that your phones keep getting cut off or something. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Hello? Yeah. I find this whole thing very suspicious, but nobody can really tell what's going on until we get some evidence. A lot of people have reached conclusions, but just seems like we should wait a little bit.
Yeah, no, that's my whole point. Nobody knows, and everybody's arguing, and it's unhinged. So the media goes, "Oh, this is Trump's fault," and then the right or people who like Trump are saying it's a false flag. Well, nobody knows. Here's a possibility. What if the person who sent the bomb had a family member murdered by Antifa? Right? Has nobody thought about that or considered that? That maybe it was a victim of Antifa violence, right? And CNN had said that they support Antifa. So that's the whole problem. Nobody's really thinking this through, and nobody knows. Nobody knows, and everybody is sounding unhinged, except hopefully me.
Right. Well, we're so used to attacking each other. We're so quick to respond because there have been false flags. There's been conspiracies to impugn with conspiracy. Well, conspiracy to impugn with conspiracy, but conspiracies to impugn with false information. And there's also been actual events, and it's almost all coming from the left right now. Almost all the violence that I've observed, almost all the attacks, the confrontations, and everything.
Exactly.
From the left.
Thank you, sir. Exactly right. I mean, you raised a good point, which is that there have been. I mean, that's why I posted that issue about the Jewish community center bombings. There have been terrorist attacks and threats made by the left. However, there's just simply no evidence either way. Right?
There's nothing to base anything on.
Exactly. Nobody knows. And what I want to do with people is educate people on why this is why this is insane. It's insane. Nobody knows. Thank you for the call, my friend. You have an 813 area code.
Mike, good afternoon.
Welcome.
I think it's kind of funny how the fake news is, going at this with, how they go at Trump for saying all these things, and they said, oh, he doesn't have any facts or nothing we can prove. But then on this situation, others, they just go dive right in. But if we look at the things that we do know, possibly that all these packages were sent to high-profile people that don't open their own mail, probably haven't in years. They all had stamps on them, well, the ones we've seen, and none of them went to the post office. But then they're going to, run with this as it's, totally, MAGA, and immediately you have all the trends MAGA bomber, which, has to be artificial. So, I don't see how they think we're just going to buy their theory here, whatever Trump or anybody puts something out there. Oh, there's nothing to back this up. There's no facts. He says this. It's all lies. And then here they go running with this. So I don't see how they think that they're going to get people, especially like undecided voters and whatnot, to buy into this.
Well, it's a great point. There's a number of issues, which is that, first of all, if you're making attacks against CNN, ironically, that makes people more likely to vote Republican, which is counterintuitive, and I'll explain why. During time of terrorism and threats and fears, Republicans actually outperform. And that's one of the, Tim Pool actually first made that point, and he's absolutely right. People vote Republican when they have a concern for terrorism. They don't vote Democrat. That's just a proven fact. So the irony, the really twisted, cruel irony of this is that this could actually help get Republican votes because it would make people afraid. And when people are afraid, they vote for the stronger party. And I don't feel good about that. I think that's kind of sick, actually, but I'm just reporting, what people actually do and the way the world works rather than how I wish it worked. That's what's different between me and other people is I am able to separate what I wish were true with what is actually true. 336 area code. How you doing? We hear you fine.
Are you talking to me?
We are, ma'am. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Doing well.
I just wanted to say that I just don't believe this is for real.
Mm-hmm.
I think the left, let me silence this. Oh, God. The left is so desperate for talking points, and it's known history that they will do anything, and I mean anything, from murder to theft. They will do anything. And it's a shame that they're this desperate that they want to, at the 11th hour before we vote, come out with new talking points.
Yeah, thank you, ma'am. The issue is that it's a mistake, though. That's the whole problem, is that this will not make people vote Democrat. That's what I find perplexing about all this. This will not help get out the vote for Democrats. It's also, perplexing and absurd in its own way because nobody knows what's happening, but everybody thinks they know what's happening, and nobody does. And the media is creating conspiracy theories. There's no proof that Trump was involved. Oh, rhetoric, climate, and everything. Just nobody knows. And for me, I'm comfortable with not knowing. A lot of people, they have to decide right away what happened. I'm comfortable just saying I don't know right now. 281 area code. How you doing?
Hey, Mike. How you doing?
Welcome.
Hey, so I've been a big fan of yours for a long time, and I got to say you've helped me shape my perspective as well on things. I also want to shout out the hostess as well because they kind of prepare you for this type of things that happen. And the reason why I say that is terrorist attacks are such a big thing in the United States to where we have a knee-jerk reaction. Whenever we think of terrorist attacks, we think of September 11th. And as you mentioned before, people tend to vote Republican. The problem with this, though, is that let's look at the kind of not-too-distant history of where the Democrats have kind of gone as of lately. Now, I'm not saying it's just the Democrats. Again, I'm taking a step back to look at everything, just like you said earlier. Let's look at what we know. But what I do know is that there's a behavioral pattern that has taken to the Democratic Party, and it's to where the fringes have become the mainstream of the party. So let's look at what happened to Kavanaugh. Kavanaugh was a guy well regarded amongst all of Washington. We all know he was an establishment guy. Now, all of a sudden, he's got women coming out of the woodwork claiming that he raped them, when in actuality, he was one of the biggest proponents for women in law and in high positions within Washington. Let's look at the Trump effect. Let's look at the fact that Trump could literally, he has a roaring economy right now, and there's nothing nice to be said, to the point where a former president goes against the way that other presidents have gone, where they don't talk about the next president. They sit back and they relax, and they enjoy their retirement, or they go get into other passions, i.e. George W. Bush, when he got to painting, i.e. Bill Clinton. He didn't say nothing about George W. Bush, i.e. George H.W. Bush. The list goes
on and on and on and on and on. And so now we're looking at today's behavioral trends of the Democratic Party. Again, I'm not saying that it is linked to them, but if you look at the patterns say that they will punish anybody, they will destroy anybody, they will do anything to get power. Was it Eric Holder who just said when they go low, we kick them? Was it not Maxine Waters who said confront them, harass them, get in their face? Cory Booker said the same thing. Barack Obama said the same thing. There's a pattern that is taking place within that party. And I'm sad to say it because I feel like one of the things that Donald Trump has kind of brought to the forefront is let's focus on the home. Let's focus on our house. We have problems here within our country. We need to fix these problems. Our troops are walking around dismembered, hurt, disheveled, PTSD suffered, and we want to take care of other countries before we'll take care of our own. We have a problem here. Our priorities are not in order. And that's one of the reasons as to why his message resonates with so many people. And that's what I feel like the Democrats are not catching on. When everybody can get back into the house of let's make America great, then we can help everybody else. But because of this pattern of say anything, do anything to get power, what Hillary just said, we end up with this situation where now all of us are sitting here wondering, is it a false flag or is it true?
Well, you know, you
Can't even be in our brain.
well, you raise one of the points you raise is that, and this is a problem I have, is I no longer believe anything that I read is actually true. So, for example, people tell me that, you know, this guy in Brazil is actually bad. He's actually a fascist. He's actually this and that. And I'm like, well, who could I read that I could trust to believe that's true? And I don't. There's a complete and total loss of trust in our society. And that is due in large part to the media creating dishonest narratives, lying about things, spreading hoaxes. And they need to step up. They need to cover what is really happening in the world, and they need to cover it honestly, because if they don't, we will disintegrate. And we will no longer have shared values. We will no longer have shared information. We will no longer have a shared world. And that will not end well for anybody. That's the problem. That's the problem people don't understand is none of us want to live in a world that it ends up like the Balkans or ends up like Yugoslavia or ends up like one of these other nations. It's bad for all of us. Now, of course, the flip side is that I was called a terrorist by a mainstream media outlet. Why won't the media condemn that rhetoric? Calling me a terrorist? What are you talking about, right? Why don't they condemn that rhetoric? So the media, they're perfectly fine. Oh, you know, they're making fake videos about Cernovich and his wife, and they're telling people to call the police, and they're calling him a terrorist, and, you know, blah, blah, blah. Can't hear anything from the mainstream media about it. But then now they're worried about the rhetoric that they've used to describe people they disagree with ideologically. Now they're suddenly all worried about the rhetoric, and it would be great to see the media condemn it all. Condemn Antifa, even though a lot of their friends are part of Antifa. Condemn it all. Bring the country together. Otherwise, it's going to be bad for all of us. Thank you for the call, my friend.
Thank you so much, Mike. And again, shout out to Hotel, Six and Hammer, Vinces, and Mike. Thank you so much for continuing to do what you do. This country is so much better when you're involved with it. Thank you.
Well, my pleasure. And, you know, I've actually said it's a funny thing. There's not been a good documentary on the Hotep movement. I think there's a reason for that. And somebody needs to do a good short documentary. Right now, there's a media refuses to cover the Hotep movement. So it's always important to talk to you. Thank you, my friend. And the Hotep movement is important because they're trying to have conversations bridging the gap that is real between white and black America. And because of that, the media is just not having it. They're just not going to have it. All right, area code 262.
Hey, Mike.
Oh, wow, you sound great. How are you?
Yeah, thanks. I took your cue and I started doing periscopes.
Oh, beautiful.
And I set up my own little studio.
Great audio.
And so I'm on every day. Pardon?
I said you have great audio.
Oh, it's actually like a $2 mic.
Okay.
I did a video for Scott Adams telling him he could build a studio for $50.
Nice.
And your haircut looks great too.
Thank you.
And that MAGA book, the Guerrilla Mindset, is such a great book. I want to recommend it to everybody. Sorry to change the topic, but I love the way you said we just don't know. We should back off, and that kind of message is great. At the same time, in the Guerrilla Mindset, you talk about how aggression gives attention, and so I started doing a daily marketing show where I basically take on all the crazy that's out there, and mostly it's lies, and laugh at it. And I'd like to invite you to check it out if you want. We're friends on, or connected on Twitter, so I'll send you a link on that.
All right, great, sir. Thank you for the call, sir.
Okay, great.
714 area code. How you doing?
Hey, Mike. How's it going?
Doing well.
Hey, so, to me, it's obvious that it's both sides that have developed this conspiracy-like tendency to, clutch on the narrative and just be really desperate for talking points, and to the point where you're really just not even acknowledging reality. So how do normal people that want due process, want real news, have patience? How do we separate ourselves and unite?
Yeah, that's a great point. The way that we separate ourselves and unite is that we don't buy into the hysteria, and we recognize that people on both sides, because fundamentally, we all, ever since I'm 41, ever since I was a little kid, people go, oh, you got to vote for the lesser of two evils. The third party's not workable. My whole life I've heard it. And I just decided like a little while ago, I'm tired of that. I'm tired of hearing I have to vote for the lesser of two evils. I'm just tired of it. And I'm not going to be part of a system that incentivizes the lesser of two evils argument. That's why people go, oh, Cernovich, you're kissing liberal butt and you're this and that. I'm like, no, I'm actually not. I don't want to play into either side. I don't want to play into the side of people who are calling it a false flag. I don't want to play into the side of the media that's trying to say it's a MAGA person, even though there's zero evidence of this as of now. I want to just talk to the people who are tired of voting for the lesser of two evils, and they want to vote for people who actually want to get things done. And the way to get that a real third party in America is to lead the way, and I'm leading the way with my communication. I'm leading the way with my own dialogue. I'm leading the way with my own rhetoric. And it's going to take a while, though. It's going to take years, but that's where I'm at. That's where I'm at. I'm always ahead of trends. And so that's the solution, sir, is we have to just not play into either side, the hysteria on either side, whether it's our side or their side. Just that we don't have any time for that. We can just, it's okay to say, you know what? I don't know what happened right now. I'm going to wait. I'm going to breathe. I'm going to go, right? I'm going to wait to find out what happened. And then I'm going to take what happened and I'm going to contextualize what happened with everything else. So you can't talk about what happened today without talking about Antifa and without talking about political violence from the left that has been in many cases endorsed by the media. You have to have a full conversation. And that means you have to just say what happened to CNN is wrong. There are people mad at me that I'm supporting CNN in this thing, and those are agents of chaos. They just want to destroy the world. But if CNN is truly the victim of domestic terrorism, how could I not stand with them? Right? What in the world, what world are we living in where people would be yelling at me for that? Well, that's the world that we're coming in, because if I got the bomb threat, you think CNN would care about me? The left would say, well, he's a bad guy, deserved it. Yeah. But the point is I'm taking people in a different direction, a more positive direction. And that means I don't have to think, well, they wouldn't care if it happened to me, therefore I don't care about them. That's their low consciousness thinking. I'm raising the consciousness of the universe, of us, of my own, and then you guys will raise mine. And that's also why I've been on a blocking spree, because people who want to continue to have a negative conversation are not welcome to read me, because I don't want to read them. It's a relationship. People talk to me, I talk to them just as we're talking. And if people are calling in being very negative and low consciousness, that is going to lower my own level. And I want us to all rise at a higher level. Thank you for the call, sir.
Absolutely, man. I think that's awesome.
Yep.
I was there on election night with you, and I'm with you now. So
Thank you, my friend.
keep it rolling, and let's keep people changing their mindset.
Always, man. Have a great one.
You too.
Area code 213.
Hey, Mike. How are you?
Doing well.
Oh, good. I'd like to ask you, who do you think is benefiting most from this story right now?
Okay. So that's a multi-layered question, so I'm going to elaborate on that for a minute. It's a great question. It's a hard one. So I will tell you who is really benefiting and who thinks they're benefiting. The person benefiting most is the person who sent the packages, because that person, he or she, and it's almost certainly a man, that person is getting the attention that he craves. So the person benefiting the most from this is the person who sent the package. Now, the people who think they're benefiting are those who want to use this as a cudgel against Trump. Now, they think they're benefiting by attacking Trump. Here's the problem with that. They're making people afraid of terrorism, and Republicans win when people are afraid of terrorism. You understand what I'm saying? Does that make any sense? So I'll say that again. When people are afraid of terrorism, this is unconscious, primal, limbic system reaction. They vote for Republicans when they're afraid of terrorism. Thus, using it as a cudgel against Trump is actually going to benefit the Republican Party, because Americans unconsciously vote Republican when they're afraid. It doesn't have to be rational. It just is. Some idiot saying, how do you know it's a man? I'm going to block you for just not being intelligent. You're blocked. So you're probably one of those MGTOW weirdos or whatever. I don't want you around here. So we all know that it's a 90% chance it's a man. And if your brain is such that you can't figure that out, or it triggers you, then just don't watch. Area code 209, how you doing?
Hey, Mike, how are you, bud?
Doing well.
Hey, I have a question for you just on the optics. And also, I've been following you for a couple years, and thank you for everything you do for the MAGA movement. I know you don't really want to associate with any of that. You're doing your own thing, but I think you're doing a lot of good stuff. But the optics of this picture that CNN put out with the bomb that everyone's saying is really crude and not realistic. Like all the analysts and the bomb experts are saying that a real bomb wouldn't be made like that, obsolete. But the package with John Brennan's name on it, and now they're saying that there's an ISIS flag on it. I mean, you don't see that as being, and I'm not saying it's a false flag or anything like that, but looking at the whole picture, you don't think that's a little bit odd that would be put out on the table and laid out for everybody to look at like that?
So I'm guessing. I'm guessing. All right. So I want to make that clear. I'm guessing. I think it is just a troll, and that it's just somebody who wanted to, I think it's a teenage troll who just wanted attention. So there was an image where it looks like there might be an ISIS flag. It's crude. It didn't even work, which bomb experts will tell you that if it were an actual sophisticated terrorist operation, then it wouldn't look like that. I'm worried that...
It probably would have went off.
Yeah, that's the whole point. I'm worried that CNN posted the picture of that, because now I can imagine there's just going to be a bunch of trolls who will try to copy that, right? Right when I saw they posted the picture, I was like, oh God, no, you shouldn't have done that. I was, and I'm sure that the FBI told them not to post a picture because now there's going to be all these people saying, oh, that's what it looks like. And then right when I saw it, I was like, oh God, I wish you hadn't posted that. That's just going to make everything worse. And so I think it was most likely just either it's a very low IQ, mentally deranged person, or it was some kind of troll trying to get a rise out of people by doing it. Because we know they didn't work. They were right. They just didn't work. And I really wish.
Have they come out and said whether they're dummy bombed? I mean, are they actual? Do they have explosives in them, or is it just theatrics?
Based on what I'm reading, there's nothing to indicate that it could have gone off, right? So in these stories, right? And these stories, notice what you don't see in there, which is the most challenging thought for a critical thinker. None of them have said the bombs had shrapnel. It was just some little thing, right? It looked like somebody took a toy cap gun or something. And again, that to me seems consistent with it was somebody very unintelligent, just and also unhinged, which is a dangerous combination. Or it was some kind of teenager. Could have been either, but it wasn't any kind of sophisticated operation. We all know that by looking at it. And I do wish the media had not posted that image. That was a big mistake. Thank you for your call.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thank you, Mike.
Area code 228.
Hey, Mike, how are you?
Wow.
Listen, I talked to you way back when you were hosting the 4th hour of InfoWars. I just want to tell you, you're a big motivator, a big searcher for truth. Some of the work that you've done has been just awesome. I'm going to post a link here below. I just want you to know that, Mike.
Thank you.
We're at epic times right now. But we got a podcast that I'm doing tonight. I've got a couple guests coming on. I know you're extremely busy, but this is Matthew from Mississippi, and I hear you. I think that was a rookie move, but we're seeing a lot of epic things happen. I just don't want to take up. You got other callers, but listen, the Democrats, they're at a loss. You had the Russian collusion. You hear all kinds of rumors. You told me a long time ago, real journalists go do their homework. There's a lot of, misnomers floating around. Project Veritas, yourself, and others, and Alex Jones have been saying this from the beginning. There's going to be a lot of falsehoods floating around, and you're right. CNN they're total idiots for posting that. And I think there's a reason behind it, Mike, but I guess my question to you, a real journalist, where are we at towards now 15 days? How does this end, sir?
I wish I had a great answer for you, my friend, because it's a great question. So the question was, how does this end? And we have to decide how we want it to end. And I want it to end in a positive way. I do know that these kind of attacks are become more frequent and it's going to keep getting worse. And the rhetoric on both extremes is out of control. And that includes left-wing rhetoric today trying to blame this on MAGA with no evidence. And that's a conspiracy theory. Calling Trump a traitor, Russian traitor, terrorism, everyone's a terrorist. I guess I don't understand how the media can use that kind of rhetoric when talking about people and then act surprised when things are happening, right? That I guess that's where we're at is people need to do some soul searching. I did my soul searching, and I decided that I wanted to take a more positive approach, a more reconciliatorial approach. And we'll try it out. Hopefully it works. Hopefully other people hopefully other people want to do that too. So thank you for the call, my friend. I appreciate it. So we have, we can take some more calls. We'll take like 5 more. The phone number is 866-438-1487. I'll tell you that one more time. 866-438-1487. When you call, I'm going to read out your, because there's a caller ID, and I'll read out your area code. So I'm going to read out your area code. Answer the question. If you're on YouTube, hit the like button. A lot of downloads today. The trolls are out on the YouTube. So if you're on YouTube, hit the like button and hit the subscribe button on YouTube. The trolls are downvoting me. And if you're on Periscope, go ahead and share this and all that. And if you're on YouTube, hit an emoji. Let me know what you think. I am reading comments. Tasty. I'm drinking a coffee. Area code 928. How you doing?
Yeah. Hey, Mike.
Hola.
How you doing? So, quick question for you. Overall, do you think, and this is going to sound really stupid, and I apologize for this, but I'm kind of out of the box thinker. Do you think that this whole pipe bomb thing is an attempt to be a diversion from the caravan approaching the U.S.? And if so, what do you think that's going to actually happen when they actually get here before the midterms? And, are they going to continue to play a terrorist narrative, or what are your thoughts overall? Because I see kind of a correlation here.
Well, I don't see. One of the issues is I think you're seeing patterns that are not connected necessarily. So I'm someone who deals with domestic terrorism on a daily basis. So because of that background and experience, it is not for me hard at all to imagine that these bombs or whatever they were, devices, were sent to the media in sincerity. It's not hard for me because I live with it, right? So I don't think this is a distraction from the caravan. I think it's just something that happened, and crazy things are happening in America all the time, and the timing of it, is not. It's just unrelated. It's just unrelated.
Yeah, let me throw this in here real quick, though. So, again, playing devil's advocate here. So, and I don't know if this is fake news, real news, but Guatemala, the president there said that they had, or it was reported that they had intercepted ISIS terrorists that were attempting to smuggle themselves within the caravan. And on social media, you see pictures of this pipe bomb thing where they actually have a sticker of ISIS being attached to the bomb going around. So it's like, that's why I'm like, this kind of has a weird stick to it.
Well, again, there's no. What you're doing is, and it's a common human trait, which is one thing happens after another, and therefore they must be related. So again, I bring it back to the Capitol Gazette shooting, and the Capitol Gazette shooting happened, say, on a Tuesday. On a Monday, Milo Yiannopoulos had texted a reporter that I hope reporters get, whatever. I'm not going to say it because people will clip that clip. And the very next day after Milo texted the reporter this, there was a shooting, and then Milo was the #1 trending topic on Twitter, and the story was that somehow Milo incited the shooting. But then what happened is I went through and I found the shooter's social media profile, and the shooter was just like a creepy stalker who had been stalking a reporter since 2011. So it had nothing to do with Milo. It had nothing to do with Trump. But people in the media immediately saw these two events happen in sequence, and they said, oh, it must have been Milo's fault because something happened after Milo said something. So that's what people on my side are doing right now. They're saying, well, the caravan, that's a big distraction. This is bad. This other thing was happening. Therefore, this other thing must be a distraction from this other thing. Whereas they could just be, and in my opinion almost certainly are, two discrete, unrelated events. So In life, we want to avoid seeing things as being connected when they're not. The media is making that mistake too, equally, by saying this is somehow Trump's fault. There's no evidence it's Trump's fault. It could be somebody that the media lied about or destroyed the person's life. There was a guy in New York actually had committed suicide because of he had been publicly shamed and everything years ago and never got his life back in order. So it could be someone like that. Nobody knows. And we don't want to see, just because B follows A doesn't mean A and B are connected, because on any given day, multiple events are happening too, right? So for example, 2 bodies were found in the Hudson River. So now people are saying, oh, wow, 2 bodies were found in the Hudson River. I wonder if they were patsies or whatever. It's like, no. Like, bodies are found every day, right? Every day people are murdered. So what you do is you shift focus to one discrete event, and then you shift focus to another discrete event, and you go, oh, look, they're connected, when really they're not. It's just things that happen every day. So the answer is we don't know, and I'm fine with that. Thank you for the call, sir. Area code 501.
Mr. Mike, good afternoon. This is Blake in Arkansas.
Welcome.
This may be unpopular to say, but I kind of look at this whole thing with the bombs and stuff from a weird perspective, I suppose. Maybe something that everybody thinks and doesn't say, but, it doesn't seem like anybody would do this that was, I guess, from the right, I suppose. It wouldn't affect anything. It wouldn't hurt the people that they're trying to send these, quote, bombs to. It's odd that they would have all the addresses and the names, and the people that they've apparently sent these to are completely uninvolved, I suppose, in the current politics and certainly the midterm elections, so that what they're saying, this whole thing would just bring sympathy from all parts of the U.S. so long as you believe the story, even from the right to the figures that were supposedly sent the bombs. I can't buy it. I mean, the spin and the lies and everything that's been leading up to where we're at now over the last 3 years, I wonder to myself, what is it that the Dems are trying for, and what are they trying to protect? It just doesn't seem like power or policy or money necessarily. It kind of seems like they're protecting something bigger. I mean, I don't know. What are your thoughts?
My thoughts are it's a nut. I think it's a sincere thing. Why? Because I deal with people like that. I deal with stalkers. And there are a lot of, so for me, I'm just kind of, if it's hard for people to appreciate, and I'll tell you why, is you don't want to give stalkers too much attention because that's fundamentally what they're looking for. But the things that I deal with are death threats against my wife, death threats against my daughter, phone harassment, doxing, people showing up to events that I'm at, you name it. The whole thing, I deal with that on like a regular basis. So people are so unhinged that they'll target children, they'll target wives. They don't really care. So from my perspective, to me, somebody, CNN is in the news all the time. It's becoming more famous. You're just going to, it's called catch a crazy. And here's what I mean by that. If, let's say 1 out of 10,000 people are whatever, homicidal. I don't know what the numbers are. I'm just making them up. And let's say 10,000 people know about you. Well, now one person who's homicidal knows about you. Then you get a little bit more famous. 100,000 people know about you. Well, now 10 people who are homicidal know about you. Then 1 million people know about you. Suddenly it's 100 people know about you. And then maybe, 2 or 3 out of those 100 become fixated on you. It's just the law of numbers. So CNN has become an object of national fascination. So they're just going to catch a crazy. It's just reality. It's just going to be a number. And by catching a crazy, I mean, you're not dealing with the sophisticated operation. These packages and the devices were not sophisticated. So it could be that they just caught one of the loons that are online and that stalk and harass people. Could be. We don't know.
So this person that we're assuming is crazy or nuts or a harasser, they came up with all these people's address. They put together these devices, and they sent them to them with the intent of scaring them or potentially hurting them or
causing a spectacle, right?
Well, I mean, it'd scare me. I'm not somebody who walks around. Yeah, it would work. It works.
Or Barack Obama.
Yeah, it works. I mean, yeah. I've gotten suspicious package before. I just don't talk about them because if you confirm, because here's the issue. No, but here's the issue is if you get a suspicious package and you tweet, I got a suspicious package, then that confirms that they have your right address. So that's the problem is the stuff that we deal with, me, Alex Jones, everybody deals with on a daily basis is horrific. But if you talk about it, you've confirmed that what they're doing is working. So you just don't talk about it. So for me, I've no problem believing that they just CNN happened to catch it crazy. I don't know that it was ideologically driven or anything like that. That's just the reality, man. There's a lot of, not a lot. There aren't, thank God there aren't a lot. But the more people know about you, they're insane. You're making a classic human error, which is you're trying to assign your mental view of the world to an insane person. What's their motivation? Well, they don't think in terms of motivation. That's the whole point. This is a mistake a lot of people make is saying, well, here's my worldview. I can't comprehend ever doing this. Therefore, I can't understand why the person would do it. But that's what makes the person crazy, right? Is if the person functioned with the same cognitive levels and worldview as everyone else, then they wouldn't be by definition crazy, right? They would be. So there's a difference between a terrorist and a crazy person, and here's what I mean. You can have very intelligent, sophisticated, rational people who do evil. Those people you can understand their motivations. You might not agree with them, but you can kind of get it. And then there are people who are just straight unhealthy, unstable, unhinged, and they don't really have motivations the way other people do. They just want to destroy things and break things, and not even for a political purpose, just because they aren't healthy. And trying to assign our motivations to other people is going to lead to a lot of confusion. Thank you very much, by the way, for your call. Have a great day. Area code 732.
Hi, can you hear me?
We can.
Okay, so I have a bit of a weird theory on it, I think. I'm going to challenge you a little bit on it. I think that Democratic politics runs on fear. And I look at it through the lens of that recent song that came out with the girl that was talking about how it's not really a scary time for men and all that sort of stuff. And I think they get people fearful in order to make you vote for them. You know what I mean? And I don't know if it's going to play necessarily well. I'd like to get your response to that. If this is going to play well for necessarily the right side.
Well, little background noise here. I don't know how it's going to end. That's why, again, I'm comfortably agnostic. I'm going to wait and find out what's happening. I'm going to wait and see what is going on. And that's all anybody can do. Everything else is just guessing. Everything else is just speculating. Everything else is, dare I say, conspiratorial, That's the whole thing. We don't know. Nobody knows what happened. Nobody knows who did it. We'll have to wait and see. All right, my friends, if you're on Facebook, be sure to like and share this video. We are going on break. We've been going for an hour straight. So thank you for watching me on Facebook. Be sure to like my page. And if you're on YouTube, like and subscribe on YouTube. Hit the like and subscribe button. The haters are out in full force. The trolls are out in full force. I've been meaning to block people, but there just were too many of them. Anyway, what happened? Nobody knows. Enough with the speculating. Nobody knows it was MAGA. Nobody knows it was Trump. They're seeing false patterns in the world. That's irresponsible. It's reckless journalism. They need to do better. They need to be better. Thanks for watching. I'm Mike Cernovich.